Once Rafale, now Predator. Congress claims dirty drone deal. Is India overpaying for US drones? The big drone deal fact check. Top focus on 5 Live.
It's a major political deja vu, viewer, because in 2018, just before the 2019 election, Rafale deal, the Rafale fighter aircraft deal, had become the big calling card of the Congress party before that Lok Sabha election. Today, the Congress has picked up an upcoming Indian deal for US Predator-type drones. Is that going to be the big weapon that the Congress wields on the road to 2024? Another defense deal, another aircraft deal, a lot of things similar, but many things to talk about. And I'm going to be doing that right here on 5 Live. Thanks as always for being with me. Here are the headlines. The BJP's IT cell chief Amit Malviya booked over animation depicting Rahul Gandhi as someone who wants to break up the country. FIR filed after Karnataka Congress complaint. BJP calls it political vendetta. Big twist to Karnataka freebie fight. After FCI stalls rice sale, Karnataka government to now offer cash instead of rice to BPL card holders. Union Minister Smriti Irani tears into Rahul Gandhi, questions why Rahul met George Soros' aide in the United States, alleges a Rahul link to Soros and the Jamiat Islami group. Politics erupts over one-day World Cup. Congress and Aam Aadmi Party fume over no matches in Kerala and Mohali. BCCI Vice President Rajiv Shukla says ICC decides venue for the World Cup, not India. Sensational revelations, COVID-19 origins. Researcher claims COVID-19 virus made in China as a bioweapon. It's only the latest layer of proof nailing China for what it subjected the world to. After 7 years in negotiations and to and fro between India and the United States, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Joe Biden earlier this month announced that the two countries were headed towards a historic deal where the United States would supply up to 31 Predator-type drones to India. But politics has now erupted and continues to brew over this intended Predator deal that will be signed at some point either later this year or next year between the two countries. Importantly, it has not been signed, it has not even been negotiated. Well, days after India and the United States announced that they intended to take forward this deal, the Navy Chief of India, Admiral R. Hari Kumar, has also come out in support of the deal and in the face of political claims, chiefly by the Congress party, that there is somehow corruption involved in this intended deal. Well, hitting out at the center, however, it is the Congress party that is pointing an angry finger, raising questions, making claims and suggesting that corruption is at the very heart of an intended Indian deal for American drones. The Congress has demanded, quite rightly, complete transparency into the agreement and also questioned the centre about the price, which it claims is 4 times higher compared to this drone being sold to other countries. But is that really the truth, or has the Congress jumped the gun and got its facts mixed up? Questioning the price of the Predator drones, Chief Spokesperson of the Congress Party, Pawan Khera, says what other countries are buying at less than 4 times, India is buying 31 Predator-type drones at $3 billion. Well, stung by a series of messages circulating on social media regarding the proposed purchase of what has been termed an overpriced deal by the Congress Party from the United States, the Defense Ministry has, however, hit back, stating that attempts were being made to derail the deal and this could affect the morale of the armed forces. The MOD also added that the price and other terms and conditions of the purchase are yet to be finalized and subject to negotiations. In fact, what the Ministry of Defence has done is clear the decks for talks between the two countries to proceed to the next level, which means no price has so far been fixed on this deal.
जो राफेल डील में हुआ वही अब प्रीडेटर ड्रोन्स की खरीद में भी दोहराया जा रहा है। जिस ड्रोन को बाकी मुल्क 4 गुना कम कीमत में खरीदते हैं, उसी ड्रोन को हम $110 मिलियन यानी कि 880 करोड़ प्रति ड्रोन, 880 करोड़ पर ड्रोन हम खर्च कर रहे हैं।
सरकार ने एक बड़ा फैसला लिया प्रेडेटर ड्रोन अमेरिका से लेने का। नौसेना काफी समय से उसका इस्तेमाल भी कर रही है, पहली फोर्स है। कैसे आप देखते हैं इनके आने के बाद किस तरह की इंडियन ओशन रीजन में और नौसेना की जो ताकत है वो किस तरह से बढ़ेगी?
ये जो प्रेडेटर ड्रोन जो है इंडियन नेवी ऑलरेडी यूज कर रही है, लीज किया हुआ है। 2 ड्रोन्स नवंबर 2020 से यूज कर रहे हैं। करीब 12,000 आवर्स इसको एक्सप्लॉइट किया हुआ है। तो हमारा एक्सपीरियंस ये है कि ये बहुत बड़ा कैपेबिलिटी है। इससे क्या है, हमारा एरिया ऑफ रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी को अच्छी तरह सर्वेलेंस और रिकग्निशंस कर सकते हैं। काफी कैपेबिलिटी है इसमें, और नॉट ओनली ये जो मैरिटाइम एरिया है, हमारे लैंड बॉर्डर्स में भी हम यूज किया हुआ है पिछले 2 साल में एयरफोर्स के साथ और आर्मी के साथ, और टू कीप बॉर्डर एरियाज, नॉर्दर्न बॉर्डर्स एंड वेस्टर्न बॉर्डर्स आल्सो अंडर सर्वेलेंस, इसके लिए भी इसका यूज किया हुआ है। तो अभी हम जो यूज कर रहे हैं वो एक्चुअली एक ओल्डर वर्जन है, तो उसमें कैपेबिलिटी उतना ज्यादा नहीं है जितना हम अभी आगे खरीदने का प्लान किया हुआ है। तो जो रडार्स, तरह तरह के रडार्स, सिंथेटिक अपर्चर रडार और एलियन कॉमेंट, फिर डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ वेपन कैपेबिलिटी, ये सब ये जो नया वाला प्रेडेटर 9B में होगा, तो जब वो आएगा तो हमारा कैपेबिलिटी डेफिनेटली बढ़ेगा।
Well, after the Rafale deal politics ahead of the 2019 election, India's proposed purchase of American MQ-9B Predator type Sea Guardian and Sky Guardian drones are now in the spotlight for a very familiar political fight, as you just saw in those comments we played out for you. Well, once again, it's the Congress party that has latched on to India's intended purchase of these advanced armed drones to insinuate that corruption and malafide is the bedrock of this upcoming deal. It's a dirty drone deal, says the Congress party, raising many questions. Now, right at the outset, let me say that questions regarding government decisions, especially on defense, are important and must be asked. As a democracy, discussions and transparency on defense deals is critical, especially given India's torrid history with defense scams and corruption. At the same time, it is important for the questions being asked and claims being made to be based on easily available facts and not merely driven by the onset of an election season. Now let's look at each claim or allegation being made and what the reality of factual position as we know it actually is. Now, the chief claim by the Congress party is that India is paying 4 times more per drone than any other customer of this variant of the Predator called the MQ-9B Sea Guardian or Sky Guardian. Now, the figure of $3 billion has been taken from press reports which have been running since at least 2017 and reflect a proposed value put forward by successive US governments, including the Obama, Trump and now Biden administrations. To be clear, India has not yet, I repeat, not yet signed a deal with the United States. The Ministry of Defense here has accorded something technically called Acceptance of Necessity, or AON, earlier this month, which basically clears the decks for onward negotiations on this proposed $3 billion value put forward by Washington. In a statement on June the 25th, even before the Congress made this attack, the MOD had said that this acceptance of necessity noted the estimated cost of over $3 billion provided by the US government. However, the price will be negotiated once policy approval of the US government is received. Now, the Ministry of Defense will compare the acquisition cost with the best price offered by General Atomics, that's the company that makes these drones, to other countries. Now, the procurement is in progress and would be completed as per the laid down procedure, says the MOD, which means negotiations have not started, they will continue, and the MOD says they will match the prices to which they've been sold to other countries before arriving at a deal, if at all. Now, the Indian effort will be to drive down this price that's been quoted by the US, not because of the politics, not because of the Congress's claims, mind you, but because the cost of these drones is precisely why no deal has been signed by the Indian government since way back in 2016, when India first expressed interest in purchasing Predator-type drones from the United States. Now, whether or not India proceeds to sign a drone deal at this value will depend on the negotiations, but it needs to be remembered that price has been a singular roadblock for this Predator drone deal for 7 years now and across 3 US administrations. Now let's come to the second claim being made by the Congress party, that the MQ-9B Predator-type drone has outdated technology. Now, no matter which way you look at it or compare these drones with, that's simply not true. Now, MQ-9 variant drones remain the cutting edge of the American drone fleet. Some of them are being replaced with higher technology drones. But did you know that since 2020, 2 of these drone types have been leased and operated from here in India by the Indian Navy? Apart from the huge leap in capability that they've given our defense forces in terms of prolonged surveillance over a day and excess of a day, just last month they were used over the Coco Island in the Bay of Bengal when a Myanmar official visited that island, which is seen to be controlled by China. They've also been used extensively to keep tabs on Chinese positions during the ongoing standoff in Ladakh. You can balk at how costly these drones are, and they are very costly. You can debate over whether India really needs them. But to call them outdated technology only harms the credibility of anyone making those claims. Now, the third claim by the Congress party is that the Indian government is pouring far less money into homegrown drone projects like the Rustam and Ghatak projects while preparing to pump billions into a foreign economy for comparable technologies. First off, India has the dubious distinction of being the single largest importer of weapons in the world. It's a terrible reputation, but it's one that it has had for decades together. It is not something new, and there are many different reasons for that. I will go into that in a separate show. But viewer, a part of this argument speaks to me very strongly, because as a strong proponent of indigenous weapon development myself, personally, I believe that India's homegrown military programs need exponentially more attention than they've been getting for years. I agree that India's local drone projects require a much more committed push, including a corporatization of our defense research and development programs that bring in the private sector and our private sector giants in a huge way. But the reality is, India's drone programs, our own, are nowhere near ready for the kind of capability that India needs in the near term for the many challenges it faces. It is precisely the kind of bad planning and short-sightedness across administrations that has resulted in India's massive surveillance and air defense gaps, permitting our adversaries to conduct increasingly more daring ventures into our areas of responsibility over land and sea. The fourth claim by the Congress is that there is no transfer of technology in this intended drone deal. For one thing, viewer, the US doesn't manufacture the Predator drone family anywhere other than on American soil. It does not license manufacture this drone anywhere else. It does not give this technology to anyone else because it hasn't ever shared this technology with a customer or partner. That is a fact. It exports the product either under the aegis of NATO or to countries after an enormous number of geopolitical considerations, but it doesn't share technology on advanced systems born from classified research. That has been a long-standing policy of the United States. Now, this isn't uncommon and has been the case with several military systems acquired by India from abroad. We simply buy them, we don't get the technology, and then we are saddled with even more imports. It's the cycle we've spoken about many times before. However, what must be said is that while the US has offered to locally produce components of these drones valued at about 8 to 9% of the deal, reports now suggest that India is pushing for a higher degree of localized manufacture of these Predator drones, up to 15 to 20% of the value of the entire drone. So that's about double of what the US is proposing. Like I said, negotiations are currently on to drive down the price and drive up the localized manufacture component. And as I said at the start, India may well sign a deal at the value that's been quoted, $3 billion or in excess, or it may succeed in driving down that price. That, viewer, depends wholly on negotiations and the bargain that India is hoping to drive with the US on a technology that remains very, very sensitive. Remember, India has been trying to drive down this price. It has been a roadblock for 7 years and counting. The government may argue that politics harms morale of the armed forces, but that doesn't mean questions must not be asked. The opposition has every right to ask many of these questions, and it is our job to put available facts out there to create a better and clearer picture of what is being suggested. Will this current heat force the Modi government to go slow on a drone deal ahead of an upcoming election? Or can the needs of India's defense forces be de-linked, not from politics, but from electoral compulsions? The next 10 months will tell the full story.